Welcome to our meeting, everyone. The date is July 8, 2025. The time is 7 p.m. This is an open meeting of the Grand Island City Council. The City of Grand Island abides by the Open Meetings Act in conducting business. A copy of the Open Meetings Act is displayed in the back of this room as required by state law. The City Council may vote to go into closed session on any agenda item as allowed by state law. Now I ask that you all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The city clerk will perform roll call.
Council President Sheard.
Present.
Councilmember Stelk.
Here.
Councilmember Conley will be absent. Councilmember Nickerson.
Present.
Councilmember Brown.
Present.
Councilmember Hazy will be absent. Councilmember Mendoza.
Present.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Present.
Councilmember Pollock.
Present.
Councilmember Lanfear.
Present.
And Mayor Steele.
Present. Also present are Jill Grenier, the city clerk, Laura McAloon, the city administrator, Patrick Brown, the assistant city administrator and chief financial officer, Carrie Fisk, the city attorney, Keith Kurtz, the public works director, and Matthew Gleason, the finance director. Individuals who have appropriate items for city council consideration should complete the request for future agenda items form located at the information booth. If the issue can be handled administratively without council action, notification will be provided. If the item is scheduled for a meeting or study session, notification of the date will be given. Council members, as it concerns our consent agenda, Councilmember Nickerson has pulled item 6J. Are there any other consent agenda items that you council members would like pulled?
Mr. Mayor, with your permission, I would like a little more information on 6D.
6E?
6D.
With that, then we have pulled 6D and 6J. A sign-up sheet was available in the lobby for individuals wishing to provide input on any of tonight's agenda items. If you did not sign up to speak on an agenda item, please come forward, state your name and the agenda topic on which you will be speaking. No one has come forward, so we will continue. Our consent agenda, items 6A through C and E and G through H and I, with the understanding that D and F have been pulled. Mr. O'Neill, do you have a motion?
I move that we approve consent agenda items A through C and E through I.
Mr. Lanfear.
Mr. Mayor, I second.
Thank you, sir. We will now take up I'm sorry.
Please vote. Doug, did you vote?
No, I didn't get it. I didn't come up on it. There it is.
Motion adopted.
Consent agenda item 6D, approving transfer of Liberty Campus electric utility infrastructure to Grand Island Utilities District. Mr. Schmitz, please tell us about this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So when they transferred and have done the redevelopment on this site, the original electric system was metered at the road. So there was primary metering at the road, and all the electric utility behind there was a private service. So at that time, when it's built as a private service, it doesn't necessarily have to fully conform to city specifications. So when they've done the redevelopment on the site and are now setting those up as individual buildings, so to speak, it became a better option if we took away the primary metering and owned it up to each building. So to do that, it was found that the cable was deficient in grounding. It wasn't the way we ground our cable. So to bring that up to our specification, it was a cost of about $18,000. So they agreed that they would transfer $18,000 to us. We would make the upgrades, and then we would take ownership of the electric system on site.
And this is the former veterans' home that's being redeveloped into housing.
Correct.
Thank you. Mr. Lanfear?
What is this committee?
I need a motion before we
You're right.
proceed.
I move that we approve 6D.
Thank you, Mr. Lanfear. Mr. Sheard?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
What does this commit us to into the future? And is 18,000 enough to cover what we're going to have to do?
Since instead of being looked at as a site, they're almost looked at as individual buildings, individual, am I going to say, residences, we will treat it like we would do other places. So it's not really changing, because they've changed the use of the site, it's changed how we can approach the site. So we will assume ownership, because had the site been built in the way it is now, we would have owned it anyway.
Is 18,000 enough to cover the future?
18,000 will bring it up to specification, and then it will be part of our capital outlay going forward, like all other service stuff.
But we'll be covered financially.
Yes, our rates cover the replacement of and maintenance of cable going forward. They would be treated like all our other customers.
Okay, that's good.
And 6J, approving formal acceptance of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan from the Parks and Recreation Department. Mr. McCoy, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we went through almost a year-long master planning process with the Parks and Recreation Department. Just a few weeks ago, we presented that master plan. Confluence was here. The plan will guide us through our operations, guide us through our budget planning, through our program plannings, through facility development for the next 10 to 15 years. There's no changes to the plan as we discussed it a few weeks ago, so I really wasn't going to go into details with it, but I will answer any questions council might have about it. Approving the plan just shows that council supports the plan and will help us with our future grant applications going forward.
And this was the plan presented by, I believe it was Brian Trustee and Caitlin Bolte.
Yes, correct.
Donna, did you want to speak on this item?
Please state your name.
Donna Manful. First of all, I want to just thank you for the opportunity to speak about this. As a citizen of Grand Island, I'm really excited for all the new improvements that our great community is going to have that's outlined in the Parks and Rec Master Plan. There's so many new and exciting things happening here, not only with the Parks and Rec Plan, but the Good Life District, the development of the Vets Home, the mall area, sports complex, the improvements at Eagle Scout Lake. As the general manager of Jackrabbit Run through Landscapes Golf Management, I do feel it's my responsibility to represent and advocate for the golf course in relation to the Parks and Rec Master Plan. It was not light reading. This thing was 274 pages. So I've just kind of pulled some things out of the Parks and Rec Master Plan that I just wanted to kind of present to you. So on page 122, under the national trends in general sports, golf is the second highest participation levels at 25.6 million people, and that was second only behind basketball. And as horrible as COVID was for everyone in the community and across the country, It did cause a huge spike in golf participation due to it being a sport that people could participate in while they could distance from each other. Golf continues to benefit from its wide range, or its wide age segment appeal, and is considered a lifelong sport. In addition, target type game venues of golf entertainment have increased drastically, 86.2% over the 5-year trend. And again, that is second only to pickleball.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you. What kind of trend are you talking about?
So in the report, it listed like the 1-year and the 5-year trends of different recreational activities. And one of those items that was listed in there was golf target game type venues. So for example, like Top Golf, simulators, mini golf, things like that. So not your traditional golf on an 18-hole golf course, but golf-related items. And that 5-year trend was 86.2% and was second only to pickleball in the Parks and Rec Master Study. So like I said, examples of those: Top Golf simulators, indoor hitting bays, indoor mini golf as new alternatives that breathe life back into the game of golf. On pages 151 and 152, it discussed the level of service, and certain facilities, including the Heartland Shooting Park, Camp Augustine, and Jackrabbit Run, were omitted from the level of service analysis due to having very specific user focus, and that's verbatim out of the report. I just want to say I was saddened that Jackrabbit Run was omitted from that part of the study. And we are one of the only Parks and Rec amenities to cover our own operational budget. I realize that council has approved cash infusions for us at Jackrabbit Run that landscapes golf management since we've assumed management of the property, but I think it's really important to note that with the fiscal year begins October 1st, the golf course has very little income the first 6 months of the fiscal year. There's not a whole lot of golf income coming in between October and March. The cash infusions do not go to landscapes golf management. They are deposited into the city-owned Jackrabbit Run Golf Course bank account. And that enables us to still make payroll, pay utilities, and then the other expenses that we incur during the off-season. I thought there was maybe a little confusion. I just wanted to kind of clarify that from when we requested that cash infusion back in March, first part of April. So I just want to make sure that the City Council understands that at the end of the fiscal year, so on September 30th, that funding that was provided to the golf course is sitting in the golf course bank account. So I know it's an infusion, but I think of it more like a loan to get us through the time when we're not bringing in income, but the money is there at the end of the fiscal year. On page 179, it talks about operational budgets, and Jackrabbit Run was bundled in with the greenhouse, recreation, playgrounds, municipal band concerts, children's theater, flag football, youth track meet, and the Heartland Shooting Park. One thing that I thought was most interesting in that area of the report is that the everything else category, so all of those items that I just mentioned, had reduced its operational budget from 27% to 23.2%, which is a 3.8% reduction of the operational budget of the Parks and Rec Department during the same time period of fiscal 21 to 24. And this is all out of the report. It says this reduction is largely attributed to the annual operating expenses at Jackrabbit Run Golf Course having been reduced in both amount and as a percentage of the whole from fiscal year 21 to 23. So just a couple of things that I would like you to keep in mind as that kind of soaks in is that even we have operationally exceeded budget and had a positive EBITDA each year that Landscapes Golf Management has been running the course. So this means that operating income is covering all employee expenses, payroll, insurance, taxes, workman's comp, et cetera, the point of sale system, the GPS system on the carts, the website, the mobile app, cart and maintenance lease payments, professional marketing, irrigation repairs, equipment repairs, management fees, including contingent management fees due to our successful financial performance. We've also collected approximately $14,600 in the food and beverage added tax for the city of Grand Island and about $284,000 in sales tax dollars for the city since January of 2021. Before Landscapes was involved, there was no point of sale, website, mobile app, marketing, GPS. All maintenance employees were paid, their benefits, taxes, all expenses came out of city funds and not from the operational income from the course. On page 184, under the Parks and Rec site maintenance, there's a section that discusses the full-time equivalents and seasonal staff. So at Jackrabbit Run, we currently have 2 full-time equivalents and 9 seasonal staff that, again, are all paid for out of operations for the course. Infrastructure challenges. This is from the report. One of the greatest challenges faced by the department is an extensive inventory of aging infrastructure and amenities. Specifically mentioned playgrounds, picnic tables, pavilions, skate park, outdoor sports courts, which are as much as 30 to 40 years old. Also mentioned are the irrigation systems the department operates across the city. And I quote, "Many of these are also quite aged and require constant repair." And this is no different for us at Jackrabbit Run. Our irrigation system is 49 years old. We had 4 catastrophic failures in 2024. And so far in 2025, we've had 8 catastrophic failures attributed to electrical system issues, meaning that we were not able to water at least half of the golf course. And 1 instance of a broken T-pipe failure, which if not caught by staff, could have caused significant damage to a good portion of the course. We currently maintain 1,110 irrigation heads over 160 acres of land. Each head has a solenoid and a decoder on it. The solenoids to replace are $125 a piece, and the decoders are $200 a piece. Replacement cost across the course would be more than $360,000. Our septic system and clubhouse are also 49 years old, as we've previously discussed. On page 216, under the Parks and Facility Recommendations, R120.1, Jackrabbit Run Golf Course, and I quote, it said, "Conduct a master plan to determine the need for a new clubhouse or renovations to the existing facility, incorporation of nature trails, mini golf, driving range, and enhanced parking lot and landscaping." There was $150,000 allocated, and it says study complete. I respectfully request, I'd love to see a copy of this completed study and anything that was associated with it. I know I talked when we did the budget presentation back in August about a clubhouse and things like that, but I don't know of any other information besides what I had presented at that point. On page 220, it says earned income and capital fee on top of an access fee to pay for revenue producing facility need. This type of fee is usually associated with an amenity like a golf course where the users help improve an irrigation system or improve cart paths because they benefit from the capital fee. And that is, quote, out of the report. So Jackrabbit Run has had a capital improvement fee, it used to be called, now it's called a trail fee, since about the time that it opened, from what I've been told. Our current trail fee is $4 per day for golfers that have a season pass. These dollars are not kept separate for capital improvements. They are deposited into the same city-owned bank account as all other revenues taken in for golf, carts, merchandise, food, beverage, etc. Trail fee income from January of 2021 through yesterday is about $175,000. On page 149, it discusses specialty facilities. These are standalone facilities that offer targeted recreation services tailored to specific interests and provide a diverse range of specialized and unique recreational opportunities. That list includes Camp Augustine, the Community Fieldhouse, Heartland Public Shooting Park, Island Oasis Water Park, the Webb Road Complex, and Jackrabbit Run. What concerns me the most about that section on that page is the asterisk at the bottom that says, which was the Heartland Shooting Park, Jackrabbit Run, and Camp Augustine had the asterisks, and it says, recognized as a community amenity but not maintained by Parks and Recreation. Maintained is the word that concerns me in that asterisk statement. Landscapes Golf Management is coming up on the end of its current contract with the city on December 13th of 2025. There have been discussions about a possible one-year extension to go through December 31st of 2026, which Landscapes would absolutely love to continue, and even for a longer term if it was an option. But I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. The golf course is only managed by Landscapes Golf Management, not what I would refer to as maintained. So as city council, you set the rates for the golf course every year. You approve capital improvements. You are the owner of all funds, revenues, expenses, and property, basically the bank account and all property as allowed by the land lease or is leased for use for the course. Landscapes is not a contractor similar to what I believe Hornaday is at the public shooting park. We're a third-party manager, and with our successful track record of golf course management, not only here at Jackrabbit Run, but at over 70 managed courses across the country, we confidently offer recommendations, insight, and best practices to make each individual golf course as successful as it can be. We feel that it's imperative to the city amenity, Jackrabbit Run Golf Course, to protect your asset, which is the biggest potential failure point, is the irrigation system. The potential expense is astronomical compared to other city amenities. As an example, to replace one green is $75,000. That means replacing 18 greens is $1.35 million. That's not counting the fairways, the rough, and the loss of income that would happen if we lost the irrigation system on the course. I believe this number proves that our value per acre is significantly higher than other amenities. And please understand, I am not in any way begrudging anything that is in the Parks and Rec Master Plan. I am only trying to advocate and give you information specific to Jackrabbit Run Golf Course. I'd like to end with this. As a citizen of Grand Island and the general manager of your amenity, Jackrabbit Run, I am excited for all the improvements coming to our community. Landscape sincerely hopes to continue our management relationship with the city of Grand Island past December 13th of this year. But to quote Councilman Nickerson from our budget presentation in 2024, it is a city amenity and it's our responsibility to maintain it. My concern is that although financially successful, a contributor to the city's tax income, other income generated by out-of-town players such as gas, food, lodging, and a place where people from Grand Island and across the region can come and enjoy the sport of golf, Jackrabbit Run and its upkeep and improvements are not really part of the Parks and Rec Master Plan. Not to mention the money that we raise for other entities. For example, we do tournaments for cancer victims, kids with disabilities, veterans, animal rescue units, multiple scholarship funds, and those are just additional dollars that help people in the community. I want nothing more than for Jackrabbit Run to continue to be an amazing city amenity and the place to go play golf. But we need the support from you to continue to make that a reality. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. McCoy?
No, just a couple clarification items there. Sedano had some good points there, but just so that council's aware, this master plan was almost a year process, and it was focused on more of your traditional Parks and Rec facilities and programs. Council might remember we did an Island Oasis master plan a couple years ago, and you would, to honestly conclude, it was a conscious decision not to dive into the golf course master planning, the shooting park master planning, Island Oasis again, some of those, the field house, this would have been a lot larger lift if we were going to dive into each one of those into detail. So, and then Sedano talked about some asterisks. The asterisks were there because to make it clear that because there is a third-party management group that's managing managing the golf course and the shooting park. So the data that's in the master plan doesn't reflect FTEs, doesn't reflect operations. That's why those asterisks are there.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Mr. Sheard.
Thank you. I move that we approve item 6J.
Mr. Nickerson.
I second the motion.
Mr. Nickerson, discussion.
Thank you, Todd, for sharing with us again. I wanted this pulled simply because I think it's important that we publicly discuss it a little bit before we approve this massive 274-page report. And my question primarily for those that are watching, and I think you touched on all of them, Todd, which is very important. Why would we spend all the time, energy, and money on a 274-page report in such detail? Why in the world would we want to do that?
So again, this gives us, we had a lot of great public input. We had a lot of some public meetings. We had surveys. And so we had some basically interviewing other communities, did research on other communities. And this gives us a detailed plan so that we can plan our budgets, our operating plans, our programming. So, for example, you heard Caitlin talk about, trying to do, be a little more diverse with our programming with, maybe, for programming for seniors and programming for youth and that type of thing. And so, yeah, it just gives us a plan to, as we plan our operations, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years down the road, this gives us a path. So, yeah, we will follow it.
Very good. And I think you also touched earlier that it helps us secure grants. It's important to have a master plan for grants.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've learned over the years is your grant application is really only as strong as you can show the support for it. And when you had, it was hundreds of people showing up for a community meeting and all the surveys that we can that we've collected, and so we can show that our community wants these things. And we found out that parks are popular in Grand Island, and they support them. So I think when we write those grants, we can tell that narrative to those grant folks, those grant committees, and it strengthens those grant applications. Yes.
Very good. And there were recommendations, of course, that comes from a report of this magnitude. How do we go about implementing those? I think of the mini parks. There was a recommendation that we kind of maybe phase those out. But it's not something that we're just, if we choose to go that direction, it's not something we're just going to wipe everything out in a year. There's probably more strategic plan to try on
No,
that.
it's baby steps. It's a process. It's council, of course. Council approves budgets, and so everybody's got to be on the same page. Again, we'll put these things out in front of administration and council, and even the detention cells. That's one of the things that was a recommendation. But we're going to probably have one site where we talked about it. We may pick one location where we may try to have a test site, and then see how it goes. And if we're saving money and everybody's on board with it, then I think then we go maybe one or two more. Again, it's baby steps. It's not something that we're going to just flip a switch on. And maybe we find it doesn't work, and that's okay. We tried.
All right, and Sedona, I appreciate you helping us understand the importance of the golf course, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more about that in the coming weeks. But this is a great master plan, a lot of detail, a lot of work went into it, and to your point, a lot of community input, which is very important. So I think it's going to be very successful for us, and I appreciated you sharing with us tonight.
Mr. McCoy, the 8 irrigation failures that have happened during this year, and keying off of Ms. Manful's statement, they manage, the city maintains. Did the city pay for those repairs for the 8 irrigation failures?
So the city puts, again, I think Sedona kind of alluded to a little bit, but we have an account that the city funds that account, and Landscapes is the operator, and they pay for, so it's the city's funding that they're paying for. But to be clear, those are, everybody out there are Landscapes employees, and they operate off of city support is how that works, right?
For maintenance.
For maintenance, right. So those are, it's not Parks and Rec employees heading out to fix the irrigation. It's the Landscapes employees or maybe a contractor that they may hire with the city support funding.
Thank you.
Please vote. Motion adopted.
Council members will now take up our public hearings. 7A, public hearing on request from Mid-Nebraska Land Developers and Lloyd Gunderson for conditional use permit to operate a concrete crushing site located at Hall County Parcel 400206757, located south and west of the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad tracks north of Bismarck Road. Good evening, Mr. Nabity.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The application before you this evening is for a temporary conditional use permit for a 2-year period to operate a concrete crushing facility at this location. Here's the Burlington Northern Tracks. This is Bismarck. This is the Wood River. This is parking lot for JBS. To give you an idea of where this actually falls, you get a little better idea where it falls here. The wastewater treatment plant is to the north. The Kennel Club is on the north side of the tracks. Mr. Gunderson is here and has indicated that if you had questions, he would be willing to speak. So when you ask for people that want to speak, he is here. We are suggesting the same conditions as we suggested a month ago 6 weeks ago, with one exception. This parcel is a little bit smaller, and we've got concerns about traffic flow in and out of this site. So we did add a condition that they need to keep Bismarck free and clear. They can turn in off of Bismarck, but they can't back up and stack up onto Bismarck. They also have to maintain the private road that is used to access those properties on the north side of the tracks. I did send that to Mark Otto, who was representing Mid-Nebraska, and I sent it to him last week and didn't get any comments on it. So I am assuming that no comment means, yes, we're willing to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Nabity.
Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this item? If not, public hearing is now closed.
Mr. Lanfear.
I move that we approve 2025-221.
Thank you. Mr. O'Neill.
I second.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion? Mr. Nickerson.
Chad, these temporary crushing sites are usually assigned to a project of some sort. What's going on with this one?
They're actually doing, and Keith, maybe you can help answer this. Are they doing the South Locust project? So all of the concrete that is coming off of South Locust for that renovation project would be going to this site, crushed, and then would be available to come back in as aggregate and fill.
So it'll basically be recycled right back, huh? It's pretty smart. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Please vote. Motion adopted.
7B, public hearing on acquisition of utility easement 111 West 1st Street, Hall County, Mr. Schmitz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At a previous council meeting, we vacated the part of the easement that goes under the building. This is the new easement to facilitate the service to 150 kVA transformer, a 20-foot wide easement, county building.
Thank you.
Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this item? If not, public hearing is now closed.
Mr. Sheard.
Thank you. I move that we pass 2025-222.
Mr. Brown.
I second that motion.
Any discussion?
Please vote. Motion adopted.
7C, public hearing on the purchase of property at 3836 West US Highway 30 for the wastewater division of the Public Works Department. Mr. Kurtz, please tell us about this.
Good evening. So I'm pulling up the slide deck that was in your guys' council packet. Up for your consideration is purchase of property at 3836 West Highway 30. A little bit of background on this, as we'll hear later on, but there's dual potential purpose for this property. The primary one that kind of started this was wastewater collection group. Obviously, they're housed in multiple different locations around city, and we're trying to consolidate those locations. This has been something that we've been looking at for quite some time. It's been in our budget. Primarily this year, we had some money set aside for either land or planning. And then next year, we had counted for the potential construction or acquisition of something. The other thing that is considered in this is the police department is looking to potentially use part of this space as well. We reached out to other departments, as you'll hear later on. The building was a little bit bigger than what we would have needed today. Now, whether we grow into that in the future or whatnot, there's obviously possibilities, but the primary use today would be to cohabitate this space between the two departments. So as you can see a little bit of our layout, we have a building over across from the street department where part of our equipment is housed. We have a couple different buildings around campus out at the treatment plant. And obviously, PD is housed down the road from City Hall here currently. So why are we considering this? Again, efficiency for our collection crew. These are the crews that go out, clean and maintain manholes and the pipes that get sewer to the treatment plant. So one of the primary driving factors on this too was the environment out of the treatment plant with the equipment that we use to TV, to camera the pipes. That's very sensitive equipment. The environment, air quality out of the treatment plant is hard on those machines, so that's why we have the off-campus location currently across from streets. We're also looking for kind of a central location that would have access to a highway for ease of travel between sites. The size of the equipment itself is growing, so a lot of the buildings that we're parking in are to their limit. And that is just the physical size of the equipment, let alone there is a need. We're getting to the point where our infrastructure is so robust that in the future we'll probably need to look and consider additional crews. We have to televise our lines so often. We have to clean them so often. We're getting to the point where we can't get that done in a regular schedule. So that obviously is a topic for the future, but this all has kind of been considered in what we're proposing with this property. So it would allow for a combination of those kind of things as well. Again, as I mentioned, we had budgeted for this in 25 and 26. Obviously, 26 hasn't been approved, but this was kind of the plan. It was accounted for in our most recent rate study that we completed recently. And again, a consideration to all of this is kind of a timeline. How does all this stuff work and fit together? So just kind of breeze through this a little bit. Obviously, we had the option to build on either our existing property out of the plant, which isn't really a good option. We did consider the city owns some land across the street here. It's not ideal. We were considering using maybe some potential office spaces up in City Hall. Again, we're kind of splitting crews in that regard. We researched some new sites. We had in the past researched Central Nebraska Truck Wash as it was on the market, and then obviously today the Heartland Ag Building. And we'll go into a little bit more detail on that. Obviously, here's the site. Again, there's good room for storage. We have some expansion capability should the building need to be added to in the future. It's on a major roadway, access to North Road, obviously, Highway 30, Claude Road is right here too, off the screen here. So we felt like this site lent itself to being able to be accessed throughout parts of town or easy to access from this location. So just a little bit of info. The building obviously is 25,000 square foot. It's a metal building right now with large exterior spaces. Currently, there is a mix of office, shop, and storage, and I kind of highlighted some of the benefits to the building. So in researching this, obviously the space today is probably bigger than what the wastewater crews would really ideally fit into. So we had reached out to Parks. First, they were leasing some storage space. It was kind of decided maybe this location wasn't maybe the best fit for them. And then PD had expressed some interest in a project out at the law enforcement site. But we had reached out to them and see if this might be a possibility, which ultimately they are very interested in using some of the existing offices for reporting purposes. They have some training space, physical map area that they can work on, training, ammo storage, those kind of things, vehicle storage for some of their specialty vehicles that obviously were used extensively this last couple of weeks. So all of those kind of tick the box for them as well. So one of the things to note on this is the purchase that we're proposing does improve the site to some degree. We're not looking for major things here, but things that make the building a little bit more accommodating to what we're going to do, such as site improvements. The Highway 30 project took out the driveway to this site with that roadway project. That was always one of the things that would have had to been considered. So we kind of got to help provide some input into those kind of things. Just some exterior renovation, sealing the roof, the building, new doors, repairs on the existing overhead doors. The PD improvements are a little bit more extensive. Like I'd mentioned, their locker rooms, cages, weapons vaults. They have a little bit higher need for HVAC equipment because it's a little bit more office space, conditioned space, things that they'll be working in. In the wastewater side, we're proposing to add a couple new overhead doors, an exhaust system so we can work on vehicles inside, clean up the interior. It's been well used for many years, so we just like to brighten it up, clean it up, and a new water line to fill all of our equipment. So all the equipment that would be housed in here needs to be heated, obviously in the winter because there's water on trucks. But we would like to modify the existing water system so we can handle filling those vehicles before they go out with water so we can flush the sewer lines.
And you're talking about the well that's on site?
Yeah, so currently, again, I didn't get into that detail, but currently the building is on a private well. So the idea would be to use that well for our maintenance purposes, filling our trucks, 1,000-gallon tanks, all of those kind of things for flushing the lines. But part of this would be to hook it to city water as well for domestic uses in the building for the office spaces and for our break rooms and different things like that. Here's kind of a breakdown of some of the different ideas or things that we've kind of researched a little here throughout the process. Again, kind of break down building units or the cost per square foot, which again is a little subjective. We all know that there's a little bit of variance in when I say $1 per square foot. That means something, but is it really truly exactly the same? Maybe, maybe not, but it does give us a benchmark to kind of consider in this. What we're looking at is the Heartland building with these modifications that I spoke of, coming in at roughly $155 a square foot, which as you can see, is quite reasonable in this environment. If we were to look at just the building of a new building without any of the PD space, just something that we kind of generated, which is this mock layout up in the corner, we were looking at, over $200 a square foot. So we're well below that. And that doesn't include any site improvements, land, any of those kind of things. So we feel like based on the collaboration and the space that we're getting and the location and all of these things, it's a good option to fill the needs that we're looking to fill. So this is kind of a breakdown of what we're looking at here. The building price as is before any of the modifications was 2.1. PD improvements, which we're proposing would be paid for by PD, just the improvements, not the building itself. are a little over $1 million. You see the wastewater improvements and then the total purchase price. So we had a couple different scenarios, options that we looked at, whether we pay cash for it, either we're proposing next fiscal year, or, do we finance it? What we're proposing is that next fiscal year, wastewater would buy the building and pay for their portion of the improvements. PD would pay for their portion of the improvements. And then beyond that, we're proposing a lease from wastewater to PD for the square footage that they're using. Now, we're looking at a lower square footage cost for that lease, more based on what the space is today, not necessarily what it would be in the future. So with them covering their improvements, we felt like this was a good compromise. Obviously, everybody would pay for their separate gas, water, sewer, utilities, cleaning, and those kind of things would be on each division. And going forward, this was the proposed arrangement that we were working off of.
I would just say Mr. Kurtz and Matt Walker gave me a tour of where they currently store all their vehicles, and they're scattered around. They're in some cases in very cramped spaces. It's not efficient for the wastewater people to have to go from building to building to building to try to get the equipment they need to do their work. So I saw firsthand that was the case. Mr. O'Neill?
I have to open the public hearing first.
Oh, pardon me.
Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this item? If not, public hearing is now closed.
Mr. O'Neill?
I move that we approve 2025-223.
Mr. Stelk?
I second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Nickerson, discussion? Mr. Sheard?
Thank you. First off, this is in so many ways a smart decision, and I applaud the planning that went into it, the different options you've looked through, the fact that you are recycling a building in our community that could have sat vacant, reusing it. I think that's fantastic. I think the fact that we have the options you put forward, and this is fiscally the smartest, and it looks like it's probably the best option. I love that we are using some synergies here and bringing in the police department and solving some of their problems. I think they'll be a good tenant for you. I hope.
They'll keep an eye on the place.
This is always good. Matter of fact, I've always said that if Chief Denny wants to park a car just in storage outside of my house, I'm okay with that. That's always a good idea. I like everything about this plan. I'd asked you the question before, so I'll ask you now in public here. The access to Highway 30, you mentioned it briefly there. With the new Highway 30, the way it's going to look, on here, can you show us, you mentioned we got access to Claude and we've got access to North. What is the access going to look like to Highway 30 there?
So obviously, we won't have direct access to Highway 30 from our site, but Johnstown Road would be one option to get to Highway 30. The way this laid out before, they had a drive. You can kind of see it back in the day off of Johnstown Road here. That won't be there anymore. We're proposing, and this aerial is pretty up to date, but it's not currently exactly the way it is. We're proposing to have access back here off of Westgate Road. Part of the improvements too on this site, if you guys have drove by this recently, all the fencing is currently in disarray. So part of that improvement would be to secure that area again, gates, those kind of things too. So we would have access off of Westgate Road. Obviously, we'd use Johnstown if we needed to get to the highway. You could come back to Claude Road, go north on there, or go to the highway. Westgate Road connects to North Road too, so we would have access to North as well. all of those are good options. With the new highway, we're going to have turn lanes onto Johnstown Road, turn lanes onto North Road and Claude Road. So I feel like our access was good before. It will be better when the project out there is done.
Very good. You mentioned it for you to have the security out there. I like that our vehicles that we're going to put out there, not only are they going to be better housed, but secured as well, which is fantastic. Really like this plan. Appreciate all the work you guys put into it.
Mr. Nickerson.
A lot of takeaways I get from this presentation. First of all, timing is everything. This building became available, and it was a great opportunity, but for that happening, we'd be having a different conversation more than likely at a different price point. So I really appreciate the fact that we are taking advantage of opportunities that come available. The other thing I take away from this is that we're not locked into any one solution. You have a path you were heading down, but you realize that it's okay to veer off that path and adapt to what's available. And it turns out to more than likely be better than the original plan. So it's that flexibility I appreciate. It's the openness, not being so focused on one solution that we forget about the other options that are out there. That's great. Next, the creative uses to maximize the use of this building. Even though you know it was bigger than what you would need, you have the foresight to say, hey, how can we make this work? We don't need it all. Who else needs some help? So that tells me that departments are communicating, they're working together for solutions. And you said Parks said, no, it's not really going to fit us. Somehow the police got involved and said, you know what, that's going to fit us. We think that's going to be perfect for us for more than just the space, the location. We talk about the cost efficiency. You just mentioned it. Some of those prices for half the space were over $300 a square foot. You're looking at $155 now for twice the space. And then again, it all really boils back down to the biggest bang for your buck. So those are the things that I think all come together so beautifully here. But there's just one missing part here that I think we'd be remiss if we didn't ask the police chief to come up and tell us why this is a good thing for the police department.
I appreciate the opportunity. I agree with everything that's been said as far as it's a great combination. As far as the police department goes, it gives us the opportunity, as you know, we put some money aside to build a building on our law enforcement center campus, which would have been about half the size or twice the money for the space that we're getting teeming with wastewater. And so for just over $1 million in renovations on the police department side, we're getting much larger space. We're able to, I think geographically is a good thing, moving some of our operations to the west side of town. It allows us to disperse our patrol elements a little bit. It's a place that they can go and write reports, and so they're not just coming back to the law enforcement center. It also allows us to build in a dedicated training area, which we're using in our community meeting room right now at the law enforcement center, but we're sharing that with a lot of other people competing interests on that. So it really is a win-win for us on the police side to team with wastewater and move some of our bigger vehicles over there and put them under cover, and also move some of our office space out of the law enforcement center and move it over to this area as well. So there's a lot more pluses to geographically having this separation than there are minuses. So I'm really looking forward to it.
It's pretty impressive. I think last year when we had the event downtown here, you had the emergency response vehicle, that big monster vehicle you've got. One of the officers was telling me that it had rained the night before, and for them to bring that downtown for everybody to see, they had to sit on wet seats. So he was telling me, there's kind of a reason why we need a place to cover this stuff up. So you've got an opportunity to keep those things housed. And again, I think it's just great that we're looking at the big picture, we're cooperating, we're talking, and we're looking for the biggest bang for the buck, and I think you've got it right here. So thank you for that.
Please vote. Motion adopted.
7D, public hearing on acquisition of public right-of-way. for South Locust Street improvements, Fauner Park Road to Second Street, project number 2021-P-6, Leach Investment Properties LLC, and Roebuck Enterprises LLC. Mr. Kurtz?
Yes, so this is another one. We are looking to acquire some permanent easements and right-of-way for the South Locust Street project.
Public hearing is now open on this item. Is there anyone that would like to speak? If not, public hearing is now closed.
Mr. Sheard?
Thank you. I move that we pass 2025-224.
Mr. Lanfear?
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Please vote. Motion adopted.
Ordinance number 10026, consideration of vacating a portion of Lot 11 of Birch subdivision identified as parcel number 400-28875, owned by Three Men's LLC. Council members, is there a motion to suspend the statutory rules regarding ordinances? Mr. Lanfear?
I move we suspend the statutory rules considering ordinances.
Thank you, sir. Mr. O'Neill?
I second that.
Any discussion?
Please vote. Motion adopted.
On the merits, is Mr. Nabity available to discuss this with us? I beg your pardon? Mrs. McAloon?
Thank you, Mayor. Council members, Joe Stump, representing Three Men's LLC, excuse me, has requested that the council consider vacating that portion of Lot 11 of Birch subdivision in the city of Grand Island. It's located south of the Wood River and identified by the Hall County Assessor as parcel number 400-28875. Three Men's LLC owns this parcel and the surrounding unplatted property south of the Wood River. They would like to combine both properties into a single parcel. The assessor cannot legally combine parcels from different subdivisions or platted property with unplatted property. Vacating this partial lot would allow the assessor to combine the parcels. The remaining portions of Lot 11 are all located on the north side of the Wood River and under different ownership. A survey from 1970 identifies this portion of Lot 11 as a separate tract. Separation based on a survey was legal in 1970, which is why we have this current situation. There is no fiscal impact to the city as a result of this requested action, and it's included in your packet is a map of the parcel showing Lot 11 in the area that would be vacated. If there are any questions, then I would recommend that we table the item until Mr. Nabity can answer them, because I'm sorry, I don't have any detailed questions other than what's in the packet, or detailed answers.
Thank you, Mrs. Nabity, or Mrs. McAloon, I'm sorry. You're pinch
That's a
hitting,
new
you're
one.
pinch hitting.
That is a new one.
I think it's about time to end the meeting. My apologies. Mr. Sheard?
I will go ahead and make the motion that we table this until Chad is here to answer any possible questions.
Mr. Stelp?
I second the motion.
Any discussion?
Please vote.
Oh,
We had some discussion, I
sorry.
think. I don't have.
Sherry, do they need to table it to a date certain?
It would be preferable to pick a certain date, so that way we don't have to remember to put it back on the agenda later.
can I amend my motion to the next meeting?
Yeah. And who seconded that?
I did, I'll accept his.
So on the amended motion, is there any discussion? Okay, I'm sorry, you're not coming up, so I'm not.
Jack, did you have were you just wanting to do that?
I didn't want to have anything to
Okay, I'll clear you out
Well,
then.
Mr. Nickerson wants to speak. I didn't ignore you, Mr. Nickerson. I didn't see you, so.
Well, that's fine. I'm not really sure why we want to table this. I think what Laura shared with us was very explanatory, so I'm not sure why we see a need to do that. There's nothing complex about this, and it laid out the reason why they need to do what they do. So I just think postponing it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So I'm going to vote no, just because I thought it was very self-explanatory.
Okay, so this is a vote to table it to July 22nd. Please vote. Is it back now?
Yeah.
So I'm missing, there we go. Okay, so it's a tied vote. Mayor, do you want to make the
Yes, I will, I vote against, I vote no on the motion to table it until the next meeting.
So motion failed. So now it'd be a motion to approve the original action.
Mr. Sheard,
I move that we approve the original action.
Mr. Stelp,
I second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
any discussion?
Please vote. Motion adopted.
As always, council members and city staff, wonderful meeting. Everybody have a nice evening.